Let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to look at a highly relatable and honestly deeply frustrating human experience and use it to logically unpack a profound truth about ultimate justice. We all have this built-in compass for fairness, right? When we see it violated, it just bothers us on a totally fundamental level. But what does that gut feeling actually point to? Well, today we're exploring some absolutely fascinating insights from a classic philosophical and theological text known as the 10th Word. It tackles this exact question by looking at the order of the universe itself. We're going to break down how a simple everyday injustice is actually the perfect springboard to understanding a grand cosmic balance of reward and punishment.
Okay, Section 1, the injustice in the exam room. We have literally all seen this happen, or maybe even lived it. On one side, you've got the honest, hardworking student. You know the type. Stayed up all night, put in the grueling hours of study. But then, they completely fail over just a tiny slip or a momentary distraction during the test. And then, on the flip side, there's the cheater. They put in absolutely zero effort, broke all the rules, and yet they just effortlessly walk away with a perfect score. I mean, it makes your blood boil, doesn't it? It's a complete breakdown of how the rules in that room are supposed to work.
Seeing that unfold, your first, most natural reaction is to just whisper, "Man, this isn't fair." But that visceral gut feeling, it actually begs a much bigger question. Does the unfairness just end right there in the hallway? Are we really supposed to just accept that the cheater wins, the hardworking student loses, and that's the end of the story? Or is there a broader mechanism at play that eventually squares the ledger? To answer that, we really need to scale our perspective way, way up.
Which brings us to Section 2, a grand kingdom.
So, our source text, the 10th Word, scales things up using this incredibly powerful analogy. It sets up a philosophical dialogue with a simple anchoring question. Is it possible to establish a grand, majestic kingdom, but have absolutely zero reward for the people who serve it well and zero punishment for those who rebel against it? Just think about the implications of that for a second. A grand kingdom is entirely built on order, authority, and purpose, right? If a ruler builds this magnificent system but then completely ignores the loyal citizens keeping it afloat, while also ignoring the rebels trying to tear it down, well, the whole concept of the kingdom just collapses. It goes against the very nature of what sovereignty and order actually are. But here's where the skepticism naturally kicks in, and frankly, it's a skepticism a lot of us probably share. When we look around at our own society, at this visible world we live in every single day, it is pretty visibly clear that this perfect balance of reward and punishment is frequently incomplete. Just like in our exam room analogy, the metaphorical cheaters in life sometimes get ahead, and the hardworking students sometimes face hardship without any immediate reward. That ultimate perfect balance we'd expect from a grand kingdom just isn't fully established here. The scales are left tipping in the wrong direction all the time. And that missing balance points to an absolute necessity. It's what the text calls the Great Court. See, this grand kingdom clearly exists. We can see the majestic order, the complex laws of nature, the literal intricate design of life everywhere. But the ultimate justice isn't finished here. Therefore, logically, another realm must exist elsewhere. A supreme tribunal is required to finally complete and resolve this missing balance. It is the place where that exam room injustice and literally every other unfinished injustice is finally completely addressed.
Let's move to Section 3. A logical deduction.
Now, this expectation of a great court isn't just some emotional wishful thinking. The source text lays it out as a rigorous logical deduction in 3 undeniable steps. Step 1, if an order is serious, like built around true purpose and meaning, like the grand kingdom we observe, then it has real meaning. Step 2, serious purposes inherently require serious consequences. If the rules matter at all, then following them or breaking them must also matter. In Step 3, unfinished justice is, by definition, a lack of justice, which contradicts the very existence of a serious, ordered kingdom. So if the kingdom is real, the justice must simply be delayed. It absolutely has to be completed elsewhere. It's not a hope, it's a logical imperative.
And that brings us to Section 4, the scales of justice on the day of resurrection.
Our source material beautifully synthesizes this whole logical deduction with the abstract imagery of divine scales. There's this incredibly powerful verse from the Quran, Surah Al-Anbiya, verse 47, that assures us of the ultimate completion of that grand kingdom's justice. It says, "We will set up the scales of justice for the day of resurrection, so no soul will be wronged in the least." The text explicitly emphasizes that not even an atom's weight of injustice is going to go unresolved. That hardworking student's unseen effort, the cheating student's hidden transgression, the whole shebang is ultimately placed on these perfectly calibrated scales.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to bring this macro-level concept right back down to your own life. Think back for a second. Do you remember a blatant unfairness you experienced where you just never saw a resolution? A time you felt exactly like that student sitting in the empty exam room? Well, if a grand ordered kingdom simply cannot exist without ultimate justice, what does your deep lingering desire for fairness logically point to? It points to the reality that your story isn't over. The scales haven't tipped yet. They're just waiting.